For those of you online, I'm Gary Maavara.
Gary is a most deserved recipient of the RTDNA Hall of Fame Award. I've had the great pleasure of knowing Gary for about 15 years, and we worked together to build Chorus with many people over the years to what it is today, Canada's largest pure-play media and content company. Gary was a passionate individual who deeply cared about the industry. He always came from a genuine, informed place, and I can say unequivocally that they just don't make people like Gary Maavara anymore.
I met Gary 30 years ago at CTV. Gary was responsible for regulatory affairs and ultimately sports. And it was interesting to me that although Gary was legal, I really felt that he decided that he wanted to become a lawyer because he was so passionate about the broadcasting and media industry that he felt that if he became a lawyer, that could get him into the media at something that was much higher than an entry-level position.
Gary was a broadcaster. He always wanted to be a broadcaster, he always was a broadcaster, and he was a great broadcaster. Certainly as it relates to this incredible recognition, two things that stand out for me in terms of his journalism chops was the success that he enjoyed in securing the All News Network for CTV and his role in executive producing the Olympics in 1994.
Gary was also the driving force behind the creation of the regional sports channel, S3, which was pitched on the idea of your team, your town, your game. And as you know, S3 ultimately has become Rogers Sportsnet.
This session is about the CRTC.
He had a real love and interest in the regulations and the laws that govern our industry in this country. And he wanted to do the best for all stakeholders, producers, directors, actors, broadcasters, and everybody who contributed to the Canadian creative and cultural industries.
So you're going to start regulating what we're doing online. And meanwhile, Google and Amazon and Netflix, they won't even tell you, they came to the hearing, they wore clean shirts, but that's all you got out of them. So we said, please, you can't constrain us in that way.
He really, really loved the regulatory process. He just thrived in that particular environment and was so effective in getting what we wanted to get done.
People who watch a lot of TV. They represent 40% of the population. People like watching TV. That's our business.
Gary was very, very, very well known and highly respected by all lawyers in the media and communications industry. His advice was insightful, but because he'd also had so many years of operational experience, his advice was often very effective and practical.
I first met Gary when he was doing the legal vet on CTV's W5 Stories. Gary always wanted to preserve the journalism, and he would never rip the heart out of our stories. I really grew to respect him and respect his legal mind. Over the years, Gary and I became friends, and I have to say, I am so much better for having had Gary in my life, and we are better for having had Gary in the industry.
When I think about Gary as a person, the word that comes to mind for me is humanity. Gary was so incredibly open and welcoming to many, many people. Probably many of you in this room were mentored by Gary at one point in your career. But certainly he was an incredible mentor to women in our industry.
I can't think of anyone more deserving of this recognition than Gary Maavara. It's unfortunate and sad that Gary died prematurely and is unable to be here today to accept this recognition. However, if Gary were here, I do know that he would give all of the credit to his family, to his wonderful wife Lisa, and his three kids, Taylor, Alex, and Scotty, who he was just so proud of.
Gary was the consummate family man. Gary was so proud of the accomplishments of his kids, and he adored Lisa, his wife.
You know, in the last couple of years when Gary was fighting cancer, he maintained his positive attitude and he fought this disease unbelievably well. One of the other things that he did that I was really impressed with was he chronicled his experience as a cancer patient. If you haven't read Gary's summary, you should. It really is helpful to those taking care of cancer patients and those who are suffering from it. It was really well done.
Gary always had time for people. He relished the opportunity to learn about your life. He loved mentoring young, talented people in the industry and sometimes outside of the industry. He enjoyed banter, and he had his passions outside of work, of course, his family, Lisa, Alex, Scott, and Taylor. He enjoyed a fine single malt. He loved all things Boston, of course, F1, race car driving, thoroughbred horse racing, and photography. These many interests, I think, is what made Gary such an impactful person. He was well-rounded. He was a whole human being that really came at the world with a desire to leave it on the field every single day. And so because of that, he is a deserved recipient of this very esteemed award. Congratulations to the Maavara family. And as I said, they just don't make them like that anymore.
I think his impact will endure, and the industry has now recognized that with this recognition today. So Gary, congratulations, well deserved. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You've been a great audience.